conservation ng ating marine resources. So to start, hierarchy of the Philippine laws. So parang ito yung naging arrangement ko ng aking presentations. So we have the Philippine constitutions, and under Philippine constitutions we have the national laws and international treaties, agreements. Example, yung mga Republic Acts, yung Commonwealth Acts, Batas Pambansa, Republic Acts, Presidential Decree, Executive Order, UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and CCRF, the Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries. Under national law, we have the administrative issuances to prevent the national law, to implement the national laws. So under that, we have the presidential proclamations, the letter of instructions, executive order and administrative order, and memorandum circulars. So, and the next is the ordinances by the LGU. So many supplement, but must not contradict to any national law. So tayo next.
Yes po, Sir Robert. Hindi po yata nagni-next.
Yeah, medyo naglag po.
Okay, sige.
Wait lang Exit ko lang po, ma'am. Medyo nag-ano lang.
Sige po, sir.
So, 1997 Philippine Constitution. So, parang ang ginawa ko lang dito is kumuha lang ako ng some articles or provisions under these constitutions na related, naka-state yun sa fisheries law. And yung sa Article 1, the national territory or the national territory comprises the Philippine archipelago with all islands and waters embraced therein, and all other territories over which the Philippines have sovereignty or jurisdictions. And Article 2, Section 16, Declarations of Principles and State Policies. Wherein the state shall protect and advance the right of people to balance and healthful ecology in accord with the and harmony of the nature. Article number 3, Article 13, Social Justice and Human Rights. So, according, the state shall protect the rights of subsistence fishermen, especially the local communities, to the preferential use of local marine and fishing resources, both in inland and offshore. It shall provide support to such fishermen through appropriate technology and research, adequate financial production and marketing, and other services. The states shall also protect, develop, and conserve such resources. So, we have the 3 national laws related sa fisheries laws. So parang ito yung natin, parang ito yung evolution ng ating national fisheries law. Yung first is the Presidential Decree number 70704 or the Fisheries Decree 1975, entitled Revising and Consolidating All Laws and Decrees Affecting Fishing and Fisheries which was published on July 14, 1975. So ito yung pinaka first basis po natin ng ating fisheries law. And the second is the Republic Act 8550 or the Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998, entitled An Act Providing for the Development, Management, Conservation of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, integrating all laws pertinent thereto and for other purposes, which was approved on February 25, 1998. So, the third one is yung pinaka-latest natin na RA, which is the Republic Act 10654, entitled An Act to Prevent, Deter, Eliminate Illegal, Unreported, and Unregulated Fishing, amending the Republic Act 8550, otherwise known as the Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998, and for other purposes, which was approved on February 27, 2015. Later on, yung itong Republic Act 10654, i-discuss po natin lahat ng provisions or penalties. So, kinuha ko rin yung mga related national laws na possible na lumabas sa exam. We have the RA 9275 2014 or the Philippine Clean Water Act 2004, RA 9147, the Wildlife Resources Conservation Protection Act, the RA 8435 1997, the Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act, yung RA 8371 1997, the Indigenous People Rights Act, includes the indigenous people ownership and management of their ancestral waters. RA 7586 1992, the National Integrated Protected System or the NIPAS Act, the Republic Act 7611 1992, or the Strategic Environment Plan for Palawan. So another related national laws, yung RA 7161 1991, an act incorporating the certain sections of BIR Code of 1997, amending the Presidential Decree 705 as amended, otherwise known as the Revised Forestry Code of the Philippines. Section 4, amending the Section 71 of Presidential Decree 74, which prohibits the cutting of all mangrove species. Ang RA 7160 1991, Local Government Code, the right and responsible of LGUs and offices, including the management and protections of the coastal environment. We have also Presidential Decree 984 1997, or the Pollution Control Law, Presidential Decree 979 1976, the Marine Pollution Decree. And the last is the RA 4850 1996, or an act creating the LLDA, or the Laguna Lake Development Authority. So in-include rin yung mga adoption ng mga international treaties and agreements. By the way, ang international treaties and agreements, once siya na become part of the Philippines, once na na-ratify siya ng Senate. And under Section 21 of the 1987 Constitution, provide that treaties and international are valid and take effect when occurred by 2/3 of the Senate. So, gaya ng Cartagena and Nagoya Protocols on Biosafety. So, familiar naman siguro tayo dito. Ito yung protocols regarding sa transport ng mga transgenic fish, or yung sa equal sharing ng developed na genetic materials, genetic resources. Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries, CCRF 1995. Action Agenda of Sustainable Development Earth Summit, Agenda 21, 1997 and 1992. Convention on Biological Diversity, used or as a CBD. World Commissions on Environment and Development, 1987. So, Convention on Migratory Species, the Bonn Convention 1998. And yung pinaka sikat sa atin is yung the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or the UNCLOS. And Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Flora, and Aquatic Flora and Fauna. So, which is you need to familiarize all CITES species in this convention.
Naging naman sila doon ng reconstruction doon. There's a marine park.
Ayaw mag-next. Ma'am Precious, nag-lag lang yung laptop ko po.
Sige po, sir. Okay po. Pwede naman po, sir, na ako na po mag-share if you want na presentation mo.
Actually, ma'am, kasi yung parang may changes kasi ako dun sa present ko po.
Okay, sige po.
Yun. Another is the executive orders. Executive Order 305 2004 devolving the municipal and city governments the registrations of fishing vessels less than 3 GT. So ito, yung 305 under jurisdiction yung mga paglilesensya o pagre-rehistro ng mga fishing boats sa LGU. So dito, ang part ng BIFAR, yung sa base sa 10654, ang registration naman ng mga commercial fishing vessels is sa BIFAR. Pero yung mga less than 3 GT is sa LGU. Ang Executive Order 247, 1995, prescribing guidelines for the prospecting of biological and genetic resources. We have Executive Order 240, 1995, which is creating the Fisheries and Aquatic Resources and Management Council, FARMC, in barangay or cities, municipals, their functions. Actually, itong executive order under sa provisions ng 10654, we have also this parang ito na yung magiging adoption natin. So, Executive Order Order 149, 1997, streamlining the Office of the President, the transfer of administrative supervisions of the LLD. So, under yung LLD sa DENR. And Executive Order 542, 1979, creating task force pawikan and appropriating funds for thereof. So, dito na tayo sa mga fisheries administrative orders. So, one, we have the Fisheries Administrative Order 198-1, amending the FAO 198 series of 2000. So, bali, isa pa lang yung amendments nitong FAO. So, titled in mind, amending rules and regulations on registrations and licensing of commercial fishing vessels, fishing gears, and fish workers. So, yun nga, sabi ko, yung mga fishing boats na less than 3 gross tonnage, ang may authority lang nun mag-register or mag-lisensya, magbigay ng lisensya is ang LGU. Samantala, yung mga commercial fishing vessels is under jurisdictions of BIFAR. So ano yung mga binibigay under 198-1 na mga lisensya? We have the Commercial Fishing Vessel License, Commercial Fishing Gear License, CFGL, gear registration, distant water fishing permit, clearances, and fish workers IDs. So yung CFBL and distant water fishing permit, ang validity po nito is 3 years. And yung gear registration naman, actually hindi naman siya nare-renew. Once lang siya i-issued, pag once na may na-modified yung mesh size, that's the time na pwede kami mag-register na ulit ng kanilang bagong net. So, clearances. So, mamaya, i-discuss ko to lahat-lahat itong mga types of fishing license. Yun nga, commercial fishing vessels operations is beyond 15 kilometers. Commercial fishing vessels may be allowed to operate within 10 km to 15 km if there's an approved ordinance from LGU under Section 18 of RA 8550 as amended. So, general based sa Section 18, actually, ang commercial fishing vessels allowed naman within the municipal waters 10 km to 15 kung ang LGU ay may approved ordinance para ma-allow sila na legally operate doon sa municipal waters. Sa commercial fishing vessels, we have the 3 classifications. Number 1 is the small scale. Ang basis po nito is yung gross tonnage. Small scale is 3.1 to 20.0 GT. Yung medium naman, 20.1 to 150 gross tonnage. And large scale, 150 and above. So, distant water fishing permit and coastal fishing permit. So, and fishing authorizations. Philippine flag vessel operation from distant waters or waters from other coastal states such as PNG, Solomon Islands, Palau, and etc. So ito, ini-issue lang ito sa mga commercial fishing vessels natin na nag-operate international waters. So mayroon tayong dalawang klase na fishing grounds na allow sila international. We have yung coastal state waters, water siya ng isang national, state or national na within territory, ang Pilipinas, ang Philippine flag vessel, legally pwede sila mag-operate. And mayroon din tayo yung sa mga high seas pocket 1, which is i-discuss ko later on, na ito yung fishing grounds na walang may-ari ng mga karatig na coastal states. So we have also yung importation, constructions, and conversions. So bago tayo mag-import ng commercial vessels, for example, galing Japan, kailangan natin mag-secure ng importation clearance. At saka yung sa pag-construct naman ng bagong commercial vessels, kailangan mag-secure din sila ng construction clearance prior to constructions of new fishing vessel. And conversion clearance, so ito, for example, yung type of vessel mo, i-change mo siya for example, from catcher to support vessel. So kailangan mo mag-secure ng conversion clearance from the national director only. So sila lang po yung allowed or authorized to sign or approve the clearance. Before Administrative Circular number 253-1, Series 2018, amending the before Administrative Circular number 253, Series of 2014, or the moratorium on the issuance of commercial fishing vessels and gear license and other clearances. Ito, actually, itong 253-1, kakalift lang nung January 23, 2020. So meaning, pag na-lift na itong moratorium, allowed na po ulit tayo mag-issue ng panibagong mga lisensya sa mga bagong commercial vessels. Actually, yung moratorium is para lang to sa mga commercial commercial na catcher vessels. Siguro familiar naman kayo kung ano yung mga catcher vessel, di ba? Familiar po ba? Catcher vessel and yung support vessel. So, alam nyo na yung pagkakaiba po nun. So, under section 3, we have naman na under section 3, may exemption naman doon sa moratorium. Yun nga, yung moratorium hindi natin pwede apply sa renewal, sa mga renewal na CFBL, doon sa mga replacement na licensed catcher vessels, such as yung mga lumumog na, in-scrap, decommission, and yung support vessel hindi po kasama sa moratorium. So allowed po tayo mag-issue ng lisensya sa mga support vessels. Like support vessel, for example, catcher, fish carrier, light boat, sonar boat, yun allowed po tayo, hindi po siya covered po ng 253-1. At saka yung mga fishing Philippine flag vessels na nag-operate sa distant fishing vessels kasi hindi naman hindi yung pressure ng fishing effort or yung pressure ng fishing is outside Philippine waters. And under this order, yung modified Danish-chained are not allowed to convert. So yun nga, parang yung sa 253 parang naging kamay na bakal na yata. Hindi na inallowed yung mga pag-convert kasi madami ng chances na binigyan sila ng chance pero hindi pa rin nag-convert kaya hindi na siya allowed. And this circular, mayroong prior to implementation or effectivity of these circulars, mayroon naman tayong 6 months grace period para makapagbigay ng para makapag-apply sila bago ma-implement or take effect itong circular. And construction, importation, clearance subject for cash bond deposit. Yun, cash bond deposits depend po sa gross tonnage ng depende po sa laki or yun sa gross tonnage na i-construct yung babayad nilang cash bond deposit. So FAO 223-1 series of 2004 amending the FAO 223 series of 2003. So ito naman yung parang moratorium the issuance of CFBL. First parang ito yung naging first moratorium natin. So ang pagkakaiba lang itong 223 is isang taon lang po yung moratorium nito. Samantala yung 253-1, 3 years po yung moratorium po natin. So meaning 3 years hindi tayo pwede mag-issue ng lisensya sa mga bagong constructed na commercial vessels. So, Fisheries Administrative Order 245. So, madami itong madaming amendments na. We have 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. So, madaming amendments to kasi ang basis natin dito is yung sa pinapatupad ng RFO, yung sa Regional Fisheries Regional Fisheries Management organizations ng under sa WCPFC, yun sa Western Central Pacific Commissions. So ito, regulations to implementing guidelines ng Group 2 na for stay-in operations in High Seas Pocket 1 as a special management area. So meaning, ang high seas, yun nga, ang high seas is the areas of water which not belong to the jurisdictions of any states. Fishing grounds, High Seas Pocket 1 is a special management area. The easy exclusive economic zones of Micronesia, Palau, Indonesia, and PNG. Makita niyo sa dito sa map na makikita natin kung gaano kalayo yung Pilipinas tapos dito sa Pocket 1. So actually, based sa mga observer experience nila, halos lamang mag 2 weeks sila bago makadating dito sa fishing grounds. So ito, High Seas Pocket 1. So yan yung state siya na ang fishing grounds ay walang pagmamayari ng mga states. So ang allocation naman sa HISIS Packet 1, 36 catcher vessels lang ang allowed na ang gross tonnage are not more than 250. Wala naman na limit pagdating sa support vessels. Ang may limit lang is yung mga catcher vessels doon. Anong kailangan para maging legally operate sila doon legal yung operations nila? Dapat mayroon silang CFVL, the Commercial Fishing Vessel License, yung Distant Water Fishing Permit, and the Special Fishing Permit. Actually, itong Special Fishing Permit intended lang for the HISIS Packet 1. So medyo kasi to ang HISIS Packet 1, medyo mahal to. It depends kasi sa dollars to last year, kasi once lang po to ini-issue every year, mahigit kumulang na mga 100,000 na ang bayad po na isang permit po nito. Yun nga, dapat din yung catcher vessels dapat nakalist yun sa WCPFC Record of Fishing Vessels, and compliant din sa Fisheries Observer and Fishing Vessel System. So 100% compliant po dapat sila. And yung allocation ng fish aggregating device, yung pads or yung payaw, dapat not more than 40 pads per catcher vessels. So, familiar naman sila, kayo po ma'am, siguro sa mga payaw or sa pads.
Coral reefs, payaw?
Hindi po yon, iba po yung coral reefs po. Ang payaw na inaano dito is yung parang dinideploy siya sa fishing grounds para ma-aggregate yung mga school of fish, and then doon sila magi-stay kasi may pagkain po sila. Yung sa Bisaya sinasabi nilang payo para doon yung yung isda, magsilong yung isda.
Shelter.
Actually hindi siya shelter. Pwede siyang hindi siya shelter. Ang payaw is device siya para ma-aggregate yung school of fish para doon sila mag-stay kasi nagpo-provide yun ng pagkain.
Para ma-attract yung school of fish, sir? Yes
po. Usually sa mga first aiders, sa mga 200ers, nagdi-deploy sila, and sa Pilipinas 40 din ang limit, and then sa HISIS Packet 1 40 pieces din yung allocation nila. Not more than kasi nire-record nila yan lahat ng payaw na dinideploy nila sa area. Monitor po yan lahat. FAO 246, amending the FAO 246 series of 2013. So ito, amending the Fisheries Order number 246 on the banning of the operations of Danishane and modified Danishane in the Philippines. So familiar naman sila siguro sa Danishane and modified Danishanes. So under Section 2, prohibition on the operations of municipal commercial fishing vessels using Danishane and modified Danishane. Local term as hulbot-hulbot, palusot, zipper, bira-bira, hula-hoop, lipa, lipa-lipa, and buli-buli. So bakit sila binanned? Dahil destructive yung kanilang gears, lalo na yung tom weights, yung service sinkers sa kanila, at saka yung heavily scale lines na nasisira yung marine habitats. Actually, yung 246 Danishane and modified, lumalabas po talaga to sa exam. Lahat ng klaseng mga destructive fishing gears, kailangan yung maging familiarized din. Not only the regulations, but also yung operations ng isang fishing gear. So FAO 0236-5, so marami ding amendments na. 236-1, 2, 3, and 4 series hanggang sa 2010. So extensions of FAO 236 series of 2010, rules and regulations on the operations of porcine and ringnet vessels using PADs or payaw, using payaws during FAD closure period as compatible measures to WCPFC Conservation Management Measure 2017-05. Yun nga, doon sa 245 na nabanggit natin previous doon sa previous orders, ang high seas packet 1 mayroon silang ang operation nila mayroon silang FAD closures which is nag-start siya July 1 to September, so almost 3 months. Sa 3 months na yan, yung lahat na commercial, lahat ng vessel po natin doon na nag-ooperate, kailangan nilang umalis doon sa area na yon para hindi sila mag-set doon kasi yun nga bawal nga kasi naka FAD closures. Ang ginagawa ng mga fishing vessels natin, pumupunta sila, nag-ooperate sila doon sa exclusive economic zones, which is ito yung nag-fall sa 365-5 at -5. So, yun nga, FAD closure, Philippine flag commercial porcine and ringnet capture vessels that conduct PAD fishing in Philippine exclusive economic zone during the period of July 1 to September 30. So, almost 3 months po siya. Ang ano po nito, cover is yung nets of porcine, once na nag-transfer yung operations nila dito sa ECC, kailangan nilang i-modified yung kanilang depth net, porcine and ring net, dapat not more than 150 patums. And kasi ang ginagawa nila during FAD closure, umaalis sila, nagpupunta sila sa pantalan and sine-check yan ng mga before inspector, kasama yung marking ng nets and then yung patums para maging compliant sila doon sa ECC. Kasi doon sa high seas packet 1 is mas malalim yung kanilang lambat eh. Para makapag-operate sila, kailangan nila ng valid CFBL and distant water fishing permit. So hindi naman kailangan dito sa FAD closure ng special fishing permit. So observer and BMS dapat 100% compliance. Pag ang laging tandaan, pag ang observer and BMS, kailangan lang sila 100% compliance pag nag-ooperate sila sa distant waters, high seas packet 1s or sa ECC. Dito kasi sa atin, sa domestic, hindi pa naman masyado na i-implement yung deployment ng fisheries observers. Familiar siguro tayo sa sa fisheries observer naman siguro. May nakapag-training na ba dito ng fisheries observer?
Wala po siguro, sir.
Siguro next sa previous slides, itatakil natin yung fisheries observer na regulations. Actually, yung deployment ng fisheries observer natin dito sa domestics, by stage kasi siya eh. So nakadepende sa naka-base siya sa gross tonnage sa laki na. Kasi medyo malaki din kasi yung payment natin sa fisheries observers. Kasi sa international waters, dollars kasi yung bayad sa kanila eh. Dati last time yung nag-training ako, $40 per day yung nila eh, yung bayad. So almost nasa 2,000 plus din per day. And libre sila lahat doon. Naglago. May another order 244 series of 12 national fish aggregating device. Ito yung PADS or yung payaw management policy. Yun nga based sa dito sa order, ang allowed lang ma-deploy na payaw is 40 pieces para dun sa mga ringnet and porcine na nag-ooperate sa ECC at saka high seas. And sa handliners naman, sa mga tuna handline, ang allowed lang sa kanila is 2 payaw per vessel na nag-ooperate sa ECC at saka high seas. So sa deployment, kailangan natin i-record yung information like yung date kung kailan na-deploy yung payaw, yung location nila or the coordinates, or the date of the deployment ng payaw. So no payaw in municipal waters in PAs actually. So bawal po tayo mag-deploy ng payaw sa municipal waters, sa marine protected areas, sanctuaries. Under FAO 252-1 2020, amending the fisheries, amending the before administrative circular 252 series of 2014. Ito naman, amending the rules and regulations governing distant water fishing by Philippine flag vessels operating in other coastal states. Coastal states meaning yung country or state where fishing vessels conduct its fishing operations. So ito nga yung sinasabi ko kanina na yung mga Philippine flag vessel natin, allow po tayo mag-operate or mag-fish sa kanilang territory. Ang kailangan po natin para ma-allow tayo mag-operate doon sa kanilang national waters ay kailangan dapat valid yung kanilang CFBL, dapat may distant water fishing permit, fishing authorizations from the coastal state or yung sinasabing bilateral agreement between the two. Sa atin, sa sa Philippine flag vessel natin, madami na tayong nag-ooperate kahit saang bansa. We have the PNG, yung sa Palau, Nauru, Tuvalu, Micronesia, Marshall Islands, Kiribati, Tokelau, etc. So, dapat yung vessel natin compliant din sa Fisheries Observer and sa BMS. Ang pagkaiba lang sa high seas pocket 1 nito and dito sa coastal states, ang allocation, di ba, doon sa high seas pocket 1 is 36 vessels lang, capture vessels. Dito sa 252, wala silang allocations. No limit of capture vessels. So 254-1 series of 2018, amending the 254 series of 2014 regulations and implementing guidelines on group handline fishing operations in high seas of the WCPFC convention area. So ito naman, Philippine flag vessel using handline or hook and line operating in high seas. Dapat not more than 2 yung payaw nga for handliners per vessels na nag-operate sa AZZ and high seas. And kailangan nila CFBL, DWFP, and special fishing permit. Fisheries Observer and BMS 100% compliance. Exclusive lang po to sa mga tuna handlines. Iba rin yung regulations natin doon sa mga group seines like ringnet or for seines. FAO 266 series of 2020 amending the FAO 260-2018 rules and regulations on the implementations of BMS and electronic reporting system for commercial Philippine flag vessels, amending the FAO 26 series of 2018. So ito, bago lang, actually hindi naman siya bago. Regulations ito requiring the installations of BMS to all CFB within the prescribed period of the implementations. Yun nga, ang BMS, yung installation natin ng BMS requirement natin sa high seas, distant water fishing permit, ay 100% compliance. Dito sa atin, sa domestic commercial vessels, may may some catcher vessels na nire-require na sila ng mag-install ng BMS. Pero ano po tayo paisa, parang nag-start lang sila muna doon sa mga large scale and then medium scale and hanggang small scale hanggang ma-reach yung target na 100% dapat. Ang commercial fishing vessels natin dapat installed na mayroon ng mga BMS. and yung electronic system, BM. Kasi yung sa ARS, yung sa electronic reporting system, pag once na install ka na ng BMS, automatic naman everyday nag-i-input naman to ng reporting dito sa center natin sa central office. Sa FAO 261 series of 2018, Rules and Regulations and Fisheries Observer Program in the Philippines and distant water fishing targeting straddling and highly migratory fish stocks. So yun nga, yung sinabi ko, creation ng National Fisheries Observer Program. Ito, actually product po ako nito ng Fisheries Program under Batch 11. Actually, kung may interested po kayo, actually may trainings po palagi dito every year, twice a year. Ang training po nito isang buwan po, 30 days. So may onboard po kayo sa FDDICA, onboard po to collect scientific data. So pwede naman sila mag-apply po kayo for training dito. Actually, maganda tong training, ma-expose po ka talaga sa field, lalo na sa onboard po. And hindi lang doon, maganda rin yung observer kasi yun nga, pwede kang bukod doon sa payment nila, medyo malaki din. And may explore mo po yung Kaso ang problema lang is ang deployment ng fisheries observer natin sa HISIS Packet 1, umaabot po ito ng 6 months, 5 months, mga ganun. Halos nasa dagat ka lang. Okay lang naman. So far, ako kasi na rin ako nito nakapag-experience na rin ako. Pero sa pad closure lang dito sa may Pacific side. Yun lang, share lang po. And 100% compliant in fisheries observer in distant waters in AZC, Perseine and ringnet, and some CFBR required by PACE depends on the coastage. Yun nga, observer natin, fisheries observer natin, lahat na nag-ooperate sa distant water ay 100% compliance. And yung mga domestic natin, mayroon na rin, pero it depends sa gross tonnage. Fisheries Order 240, Series of 2012, Rules and Regulations and Implementations of Fisheries Observer. Yun nga, sa HISIS, 100% compliant tayo sa Fisheries Observer. FAO 241, Series of 2012, Regulations and Implementations of BMS in HISIS, 100% din tayo sa compliant ng BMS. Under FAO 237, Series of 2010, regulations naman to requiring the installment of installation po to, installation, hindi installment, installations of juvenile and trash fish screw-dead device or the JTED in trawls in the Philippines. So ang JTED kasi ito yung type of bycatch reduction device na dinesign para to exclude or reduce yung catching ng mga small fish juveniles. Small fish, yung mga juveniles na commercial important species, and the trash fish. Actually, itong JTED na to, ini-inspect din to every renewal ng kanilang lisensya. So, kailangan natin i-document to and kailangan compliant sila dito sa JTED. Ang JTED na ang installation po ng JTED para lang po sa mga trawls. Wag po tayo maging confused sa trawls. Pag sinabi kasi nga trawls, baka sabihin nyo yung allowed tayo maglisensya ng Danish Seine at saka Modivadiation. Ibang trawls po yun. Yung trawls na yun na type is banned na po sa atin. So hindi na po tayo pwede maglisensya doon. Hindi na rin po legally operation yung kanilang type of vessel gear type. So FAO 201 series of 2000, yun nga, ban of fishing with active gears. Siguro familiar naman tayo sa mga passive and active gears. municipal and commercial fishing vessels utilizing active gears within municipals. So bawal po tayo gumamit ng active gears sa municipal waters. And bawal din mag-operate yung commercial fishing vessels sa municipal waters. So example of active gears, yung troll, force seine, ring net, drive-in net, round hole seine, push net, and bag net. I know yung last siguro previous week may nag-present na din sa inyo about sa familiarization ng mga fishing gear and fishing vessels, 'di ba? Ma'am Precious, si Sir Hans.
Yung kay Sir Hans na na discuss is about fishing boat design and construction. Fishing gear was discussed by Jess Narito.
Si Sir Jess, Okay. So at least may na sila, familiar na sila sa lahat ng fishing gears po natin.
Hopefully, familiar na sila.
Kasi yung fishing gears kailangan lumalabas na kami. Hindi yan nawawala yung fishing gears. So, proceed na tayo. Ito, FAO 203 series of 2000, banning fishing by means of muroami and the like destructive to coral reefs and other habitats. So, yun nga, familiar naman siguro tayo sa muroami, kung anong klase ng fishing gear siya. So, locally known as kayakas, bahan, bahig, lukay, lukayan, pukot, singkit, tigsil, lintik, or likum-likum. Dapat po pala sa pag-take ng exam din, minsan kasi ito yung medyo mahirap kasi sinasabay talaga nila yung yung mga local term ng mga fishing boats natin. Actually, sa sa batch ko, ito yung sabi ko na parang challenging sa fishers, sa mga student kasi hindi sila familiar sa mga local term ng mga fishing vessels. So kailangan po natin yun din maging familiar tayo sa mga local terms po ng mga fishing gear po natin. And FAO 204 series of 2000, ito naman yung restriction ng the use of superlight in fishings. So bale, itong 204 parang na-amend na siya. Na-amend na siya talaga. Ay hindi siya actually na-amend, parang may iba siyang orders na hindi na actually ito yung natin, yung reference natin sa regulations pagdating sa superlights. So sinama ko lang to kasi series of 2000 pa to. Dati ang small scale or 3.12 GT, ang allowed lang sa kanila is 20 kilowatts. Yung sa medium scale, ang allowed lang sa kanila is 36 kilowatt. Large scale, more than 150 GT, 40 kilowatts. Base natin dito sa FAO 260, ito yung pinaka-latest natin. Ito yung ginagamit natin na regulations. So bale, itong 2405 na repeal na po to. And then ito na yung ginagamit nating new regulations. Regulations of the use of superlights in fish light attractors and commercial fishing vessels. Under Section 3, ito, nakalagay naman dito sa yung prohibitions. Ang superlights natin sa mga light boats or sonar boat or fish carrier, dapat hindi sila mag more than 20 million lumens for each light boats or na boat light boats. So ito, may nakalagay ditong table. Ito na yung natin, basis natin. Yung source po nito, yung sa SIFDEC. So yun nga, sa metal halides, sa lead, fluorescent, halogen, scadent. So mayroon silang luminous efficacy. Like yung sa metal halide, we have 80. So ang equivalent lang is 250. So paano natin ma-determine? Kasi yung ang ang cumulative or yung light natin is dapat dapat hindi siya more than 20 million lumens. So pwede niyo i-compute to, 250 times 1 watts is equal to 1,000. 250 times 1,000. So and times 8, so equivalent siya sa 2 million 2 million lumens. Same sa lead, fluorescence, halogen, and incandescence. So malaking pagkakaiba na yung sa 204 and sa 262. Actually bago lang to, nag-conduct kasi ito ng study dun sa Zamboanga, which is dun naman talaga yung mga sa sardines natin. Usually may grabe yung mga nila, yung sa light boats. Ito naman, FAO 263 series of 2019, Establishment of Fisheries Management Area, FMA, for the conservations and management of fisheries in Philippine waters. Actually, itong 263, hindi pa naman po talaga siya fully implemented, pero at least may basis na po tayo sa regulations. Like for sa amin, sa licensing, sa regulatory and licensing divisions, ang magiging case kasi nito, for example, FMA 1, so maglalagay sila ng harvest control rules ay yung magiging parang reference points natin. For example, sa FMA, ganito lang na tinuladang ano. And then, yung isang commercial vessel dito, hindi dapat pwede mag-operate sa FMA 12 or FMA 5 unless kung may information sila from the national directors. Ang case kasi sa atin, ang practice natin ngayon dito ngayon is lahat ng commercial fishing vessels dito sa ating Pilipinas, for example, nasa Jensen ka, under FMA 3, pwede sila. Alam ba, pwede sila mag-operate sa buong Pilipinas, pwede sila mag-operate sa FMA 6, 12, 15. Pero pag na-implement na tong fisheries management areas, kasi every FMA may may harvest control rules. So hindi na allowed yung gano'n na practice. So ngayon, yun nga, halimbawa, Jensen ka, pwede ka sa north, pwede ka sa south, sa east. And yun, basis po natin dapat yung ecosystem approach to fisheries management area. Harvest control rules, set of actions to achieve the medium long-term target reference point per FMA. Ito yung sinasabi ko. Harvest rules and regulations based on the status of the fish stocks. So kailangan madami-daming studies ang kailangan nito para makapag-come up po tayo ng reference points kada FMA. Kung lalo na kung ang natin yung pagle-lisensya or pagre-rehistro is ibe-base na rin for FMA. Establishment management body in the FMA, LGU, and before NGU Academy. So lahat ng concern or involved organizations or office, kailangan sila mag-come up nito, especially dun sa mga municipal waters. Wait, palubat na po ako. Wait lang po . Kung may question po, siguro after na lang ng presentation para at least maano natin yung mga kanilang confusion or yung mga itatanong po regarding dito sa presentation ko. So, FAO 258, 2018, Establishment of Tuna Conservation and Management Zone, TZMZ in the Mindanao and Celebes Sea. So TZMZ designated as an exclusive fishing zone for tuna handlines and conservations of area for small tunas. So dito, bawal yung mga group seine. Ang group seine, ibig sabihin nito, yung mga purse seine, ringnet are not allowed to operate in these areas. So meaning exclusive lang po to sa mga tuna handlines. Kasi usually naman ang tuna handlines ang nakukuha nila yung mga malalaki na and medyo mas malalalim ng part like yung sa big eye tuna. Para to sa conservations ng mga small tunas. So FAO 221, series of 2003, prohibiting the operations of Muroami and Cayakas in all Philippine waters. So yun nga, na-discuss from the previous slides yung regarding dito sa ban ng operations ng Muroami or the Cayakas. Yung FAO 155-1 series of 1994, amending the 155, still ginagamit pa rin po ito natin. Amending the section 2 of FAU 155 regulations, the use of fine mesh net in fishing. So minimum limit ng ating mesh size is 1.9 cm or 12 knots para sa mga purse seine and ring net and bang net. Actually, mayroon naman tong exceptions, itong minimum limit. Gaya ng yung mga operators natin sa Manila Bay na nag-aalamang. So allowed naman sila below minimum limit na 1.5 centimeters. Yung Tabios, Sinarapan, siguro familiar naman tayo sa Sinarapan. Para bago ko makalimutan, kailangan po din natin maging familiar tayo sa mga endemic species like yung Sinarapan. Lumalabas po talaga sila like yung sa Maliputo, yung sa Dernilla dito sa may Laguna Bay. Kailangan natin masaulot talaga yung kanilang mga scientific name, local names. Dilis, yung dulong, bangus fry, yung sugpo fry, and banax, flashes. Ito yung mga exceptions dun sa minimum limit na 1.9 centimeters. 197-1 amending the FAO 197 series of 2000 revised the rules and regulations governing the lease of public lands for fish pond and mangrove friendly aquaculture. Ito yung mga pagmamay-ari ng gobyerno, public lands para sa development ng fish pond. So mayroon tayong ini-issue ng mga permit like yung sa gratuitous permit na mayroon na 5 years validity, renewable naman siya. Actually itong yung GP na to, most karamihan mga institutions or academy yung nag-grant. Like yung sa amin, yung sa Bicol University, may public public fish pond. Hanggang ngayon ino-operate pa din. Yung sa aquasilviculture, stewardship, contract, yung ACC, aquasilvi, familiar naman po siguro. 10 years yung validity and renewable for another 10 years. FLA or the Fish Pond Lease Agreement, 25 years validity and pwede siya ma-renew into another 5 years pero hindi siya pwede mag-exceed sa 50 years. FAO 233 series of 2010 Aquatic Wildlife Conservations. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko sa inyo dati pa, kailangan din yung ma-familiarize lahat ng mga natin, yung sa mga CITES or yung sa red list species po. So dito sa 233 may binibigay po tayo din na gratuitous permit. Ito yung privilege given to individual, academic, research institutions, organization to capture, harvest, transport aquatic wildlife species from the natural habitat to scientific and other authorized purposes. Actually, allowed naman tayo sa scientific study. Allowed naman tayo mag-capture, harvest, or transport ng mga aquatic wildlife. Basta kailangan lang natin ng GP. And then GP naka-under naman to sa Memorandum of Agreement between the academy and the Bureau or the BIFAR. So mayroon din silang CITES export or import permit. Yung sa CITES export permit ng mga CITES species, kung depende ito kung ang isang country allowed sa kanila yung CITES species na i-export sa kanila. And then mayroon din naman tayong import permit ng mga CITES species na pwede nilang i-import dito sa atin for scientific study. Yung FAO 250-2 series of 2015 amending FAO 250-1 2015 and FAO 250 series of 2014. Din naman yung prohibitions on the collections of harvest, gathering, selling, and exporting of brown algae, sargassum, or seagrass. Seagrass, exception naman siya, mayroon naman siyang exemptions sa through issuance of ng special permit signed by the secretary or the scientific study, educational purpose or subject to such conditions. So principles of this regulations naman, descriptions, bawal tayo mag harvest collect ng sargassum and seagrass. We have before administrative circular 251 series of 2014. So ito naman yung traceability system for the fish and fishery products. Regardless naman to, mapa-municipal or commercial, kailangan natin documented. Kailangan documented yung mga nahuli na isda ng ating mga fishermen. Especially doon sa mga fishery products or fishery products na i-export sa EU, which is requirement yung catch log sheets, kung saan sila nangingisda, kung ilan, kung may lisensya ba yung mga kaniyang mga bangka. So part of the traceability system po yun, yung documentations. Before FAO 264 series of 2020, ito naman yung regulations on the catching, possessing, transporting, selling, trading, and exporting mangrove crablets, juvenile mangrove crabs, and gravid mangrove crabs, or the Scylla SPP. So, based dito sa regulations, ang mangrove crablets na may carapace na less than 5 are prohibited. Yung juvenile mangrove crabs na carapace with less than 12 centimeters are also prohibited. And gravid mangrove crabs or yung the female mangrove crabs, which is considered na mayroong pregnant or carrying eggs, bawal din po siya i-transport. Bawal din siya i-catch and possess, transporting, selling, trading, exporting po. Under the JAO, DELG, JAO is joint agreement order between the two departments. Number 1 series of 2014. Ito naman yung regulations for the conservations ng blue swimming crab or the Portinusa pelagicus. Ang allowed lang po natin na minimum size ng blue swimming crab is 10.2 cm yung carapace, with carapace. Mayroon naman tayong limitations doon sa crab fishing gear limitations, lalo na yung mesh size or yung diameter ng isang crab patch or yung hole. And minimum mesh size na kailangan 11 centimeters and 3 centimeters stretch yung mesh for the lip nets. Also, kailangan din nila itong joint agreement order, kailangan din nila mag-establish ng close seasons during the peak season ng kanilang fecundity. We have FAO 167-3 series of 2013, amending the FAO number 167 series of 1980, or the establishing the close season for conservation sardines and herring and mackerels in the Visayas. Itong mga FAO, kailangan din natin maging familiar tayo kung kailan yung kanilang close season. So sa 1967, close season ng sardines sa Visayan Sea, nag-start yung close season is November 15 to February 15. Every year yan. Unless kung may amendments, which is ang amendments naman is always naka-base sa scientific studies yung mga amendments ng fisheries orders natin sa before. FAO 255 series of 2014, ito naman yung establishing close season for the conservations of sardines in the East Sulu Sea, Basilan Strait, and Sibugay Bay. So, start from December 1 to 2014, March 1 to 2015, and every such period and subject for annual review by NFARMC. So, yun. Sa ano naman, close season sa sardines is starts at December 1 to March 1 and subject for the amendments or review by INFORMC. Ito naman, Joint Agreement number 2 series of 2014, establishment ng close season for the conservation ng small pelagic fishes sa Davao Gulf. Nag-start siya July 1 to August 31, commencing in year 2014 and thereof. So every year, yung kanilang close season. Ito naman, Joint Agreement number 1, series of 2015, establishment of close season for the management of galunggong, around SCAD, Dicapterus SPP, and Northern Palawan. So, nag-start yung close season is November 15 to January 31 to 2016, and every such period thereof. So, every year, mayroon po every year implemented po yung mga close seasons po natin. Yun ito, yung sinasabi ko po na prohibitions and penalties under 8550 amended. So sinabay ko lang to kasi para maging familiar lang maging familiar tayo or maging common tayo doon sa mga provisions na or provisions or penalties under 8550 or the amended 10654. So, Section 86, unauthorized fishing vessels, yun nga, bawal tayo mag-operate sa municipal, sa commercial waters na walang lisensya. Under Section 87, engaging in unauthorized fishing activities, any unauthorized fishing vessel fisheries activities like yung sa pag-culture, pag-produce, pag-occupy, pag-exploit, pag-culture ng fry, fingerlings are prohibited. Ay kailangan ng lisensya. So same concern with the Section 86. Kailangan nilang lisensya o permit to operate. Section 88, failure to secure fishing vessel prior to engage in distant water fishing vessels. So ito, yung mga Philippine flag vessel natin, hindi pwede sila mag-operate basta-basta sa mga international waters without securing the distant water fishing permit or the international fishing permit. Section 81, unreported fishings. It shall be unlawful for any person to engage unreported fishings or fail to comply with the reportorial requirements, Section 38 of this code. So, example ng unreported fishing is yung documentation natin, yung paghuli ng isda, especially doon sa atin sa mga commercial waters, kailangan nilang i-document yung huli, kung saan nila nahuli, at saka kung kailan yung date nila nung nahuli. So kailangan nilang i-declare lahat. It's part of the recording documentations. Actually, yung unreported fishing sa bago tayo makapag-renew ng lisensya nila, nire-require as part of the regulatory requirements yung yung catch fish, yung log sheets nila. So hinihingi po talaga natin nila. Hindi sila makakapag-renew ng kanilang lisensya pag wala silang log sheets. Section 90, unregulated fishings. Yun nga, very example nito is yung commercial waters natin. Example nito is yung commercial vessels natin. Hindi sila pwede mag-operate doon sa municipal waters. Unregulated fishing tawag po. Section 91, yung poaching in Philippine waters, bawal din. It shall be unlawful for any foreign person, corporations, entity to fish or operate any fishing vessels in the Philippine waters. So may mga cases na rin po to, like yung sa part sa north, sa north natin, or dito sa may West Philippine Sea. So may mga nadakip na dyan na mga foreign vessels na ginawa nating MCS na before, like yung sa nasakayan ko, yung FB Tambakol, isa Taiwanese vessel yun eh. So ginawa natin, hindi sila sa case, Kaya ginamit na lang natin sa bureau natin. So Section 92, fishing through explosive, or poisonous substance or electricity. So it shall be unlawful for any person to catch, take, or gather or coast, be caught, take, and gather fish or any fishery species and Philippine waters with the use of explosive, noxious, or poisonous substance such as yung sa sodium cyanide, which kill the stupefy, disable, or render unconscious fish and fishery species. Section 93, use of fine mesh net. Yun nga, minimum size is 1.9 para sa mga forcing and ring net. So kailangan maging aware din tayo doon sa fine mesh net sa mga catcher vessel natin. So Section 94, fishery management areas, fishing in overexploited. So it shall be unlawful for any person to fish in fishery management areas declared as overexploited. So bawal lang po tayo. FMA, ibig sabihin po nito, yung FMA na conduct based from the studies na overexploited, na bawal po tayo mag-operate, bawal po tayo mag-set ng nets or operations ng mga catcher vessels natin dito sa area. So Section 95, use of active gears in municipal waters based in other fishery managements. Yun nga, may ano naman na tayo dito, specific na FAO para sa active gears na bawal nga tayo gamit ng active gears sa municipal waters. Commercial waters allowed po tayo. Only commercial waters. Section 96, ban of coral exploitations and exportations. So shall be unlawful for any person or corporation to gather, possess, commercial transport, sell or export ordinary, semi-precious or precious corals, whether raw and processed form, except for scientific research purposes. It shall also be unlawful for any person, corporations, or entity to commit the activity damage coral reefs. So mayroon naman tayong exceptions pag research or scientific study yung kanilang gagamitin na. So allowed po yung collection po. Pero kailangan natin mag-secure ng gratuitous permit with a memorandum of agreement signed by the secretary. Any wildlife species po. Section 97, yun nga, ban on moro-ami, other methods of gear destructive to coral reefs and other marine habitats. So mayroon naman tayong specific na FAO na dito. So na totally banned na talaga yung moro-ami and other methods or gear destructive such as yung sa yung sa danishing o yung sa hulbot-hulbot. Section 98, illegal use of super lights or fishing lights, tractors. Yun nga, may specific tayo. May tayong kailangan na 20 million lumens lang ang allowed na. Not more than 20 million lumens ang allowed. Sa mga light boats, sonar boats, and fish carriers. Section 100, fishing during close season. Yun nga, bawal tayo mag-operate during the close seasons. Section 105, fishing in marine protected areas, fishery reserves, refuges, and sanctuaries. Yan din, bawal din po tayo mag-operate municipal boats or commercial boats. Bawal po tayo mag-fish sa MPAs. Section 102, fishing or taking rare, endangered species. So bawal din, shall be unlawful to fish, take, catch, gather, or sell, purchase, possess, transport, export, forage, ship out aquatic species listed in the Appendix 1 of CITES. So yun nga, so maging familiar din tayo dun sa mga CITES species na bawal po talaga silang i-gathered or i-catch. Sa section number 103, capture of sabalo in other breeders' spawners. Siguro familiar naman siguro sa sabalo, kung ano yung sabalo. Yan yung mother ng milkfish. Yan yung breeders. Sabalo is yung breeders po natin, yung Sam, bangus. So, under section 103, bawal po, it shall be unlawful for any person to catch, gather, capture, or possess matured milkfish or sabalo. Section 106, violations of harvest control rules, under dun sa FME natin, shall be unlawful to any person to fish violations of harvest control rules determined by the department. Section 108, failure to comply with the minimum safety standards para dun sa mga commercial vessels natin, kailangan sila compliant sa minimum safety standards. Actually, itong minimum safety standards, may checklist to yung mga observer natin, whether they are compliant or not. Actually, itong duties and responsibilities na to yung minimum safety requirements ng marina. So hindi sila ma-renew or hindi sila i-issue ng certificate of fishing hindi sila ma-issue ng safety fishing vessel certificate ng marina pag hindi sila compliant sa minimum safety standards. Section 113, commercial fishing vessels operators employing unlicensed fisher folk, fish workers or crew. So kailangan din may identification tayo, may cards tayo, valid yung kanilang identification cards bago sila magsampa sa lancha. So, Section 113 po. Section 116, non-compliance sa mga fisheries observers. So, kailangan, lalo na dun sa mga distant water fishing vessels, kailangan nila mag-deploy ng fisheries observers, which is required by the RFMO, or the Regional Fisheries Management Office, na ini-implement nila based doon sa WCPFC, the Western Central Pacific Commissions, under CMM, Conservation and Management Measures. Section 117, non-compliance with the port state measures. Actually, may specific tayong order dito or circular yata sa port state measures na yung mga foreign fishing vessels nila ay hindi sila pwede basta-basta mag-entry. Bawal sila yung entry sa mga ports natin unless kung mayroon silang notice, prior notice within 24 hours. Tsaka yung loading ng kanilang mga fishery products. Sa atin, sa Pilipinas, dalawa lang yung natin designated ports. Yung sa Davao at saka yung sa Nabotas. Para sa mga para sa mga tuna handliners, specific designated yung double port, and yung sa general fish and fishery products ay sa Nabotas port. Port state measures refers to the requirements established or interventions taken by the port states which a Philippine flag or foreign fishing vessels must comply with as conditions of the use of ports within the port states. Section 119, non-compliance with BMM. So yun nga, no municipal, commercial, or distant water fishing vessel shall engage fishing activity without complying the BMM promulgated by department in coordinations with the LGUs. So meaning, basta yung yung implementation natin or yung installation natin ng BMS or the BMM sa high seas, 100% po tayo. Dito naman sa atin, sa domestic, nire-require na rin natin na mag-install ng BMS. Pero depende po to ang implementation natin depende po sa gross tonnage or yung laki ng barko or bangka. Yung BMM nire-require ito sa mga commercial fishing vessels bago sila mag-renew. Bago sila makapag-renew, kailangan makapag-install na sila ng BMS. Part of the requirements ng issuance ng lisensya. Section 120, constructing, importing, converting fishing vessels gears without permit from the Bureau. So ito medyo, ito yung problema sa atin, sa sistema natin, sa Section 120, kasi hindi naman masyado oriented yung mga natin, yung mga fishermen natin, ang kanilang lang naman, goal nila is mag-construct pero hindi nila alam na kailangan nila mag-secure ng permit sa Bureau, sa BIFAR, bago sila makapag-construct, bago sila mag-import ng vessel from Japan, or bago sila mag-convert ng kanilang fishing vessels or gear. So, importante po ito na kailangan sila maging aware dito sa Section 120. Section 121, use of unlicensed gears. Yun nga, kung ano yung nakalagay dun sa CFBL nila, for example, person sila, during the actual or the onboard of the fishing vessels, kailangan person din yung ginagamit nila. Hindi sila dapat gumamit ng ibang fishing gears like ringnet, bagnet, ganun. So kung ano yung naka-specify dun sa license, yan lang yung kanilang license gear. Section 122, falsifying, concealing, or tampering with vessel markings, identity, or registrations. Ito shall be unlawful for any person falsify or conceal vessel identity or lack of registrations or tamper with the vessel markings, identity, or registrations. Ito, nire-require naman natin during the renewal ng mga kanilang lisensya na kailangan yung vessel, yung markings nila ay compliant. So siguro, kung hindi ko lang alam, mapapansin nyo, kung may makakita kayong mga commercial ngayon na vessels, makikita mo yung pangalan nila, for example, FB Robert. Kung dati hindi natin makita, ngayon, pinapalakihan natin yung mga kanilang pangalan, yung markings. So, next. So, yun lang sa akin. Actually, yung majority ng aking presentations, yun nga, sinabi ko na more on capture fisheries. Hindi kasi ako familiar doon sa mga regulations like yung mga endemic species which is under aquaculture, under aquaculture, kasi yung topic ko lang is more on marine fisheries. So yung mga siguro I suggest na kay Ma'am Precious na kailangan din siguro, pero konti lang naman yung regulations natin, like yung sa mga aquaculture, yung sa shrimp, yung sa mga endemic species like yung sa ludong. So which is lumalabas din sa exam. So yun lang po. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. So actually itong picture na to, yung yung pag-onboard ko way back 2017 sa Mati area. ACC na to. So bago ako nakarating dito sa area na to, takes siguro yung transiting namin is 8 days. Yun lang. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Sir Robert. Napaka-overwhelming. Actually, fishery law, sabi ko nga kanina, honestly, it is one of the difficult topics na pinapag-aralan during board exam. Kasi ang daming mga laws, ordinances that you have to be familiar with. Ngayon, Sir Robert, merong question dito na student. Saan ba yun?
Yes.
Kanina? Wait lang. Sana ba yun? Ito, from ZSCMST, si Mary Flor de Luna Quezada. Good evening, sir. Any tip po sa pag-memorize, familiarize ng mga codes? Thank you. Baka meron po kayo sa
sa akin, based sa experience ko. Actually, yung FAO na to, may compilation naman to na pwede nyong mai-download or pwede mong makita doon sa BIFAR websites. Actually, yung nag-review ako nito way back 2015, talagang sinaulo ko tong FAO na to. Di, naano nga ako eh. Actually, nagulat nga. Hindi ko akalain na kaya kong ma-memorize pala to sa dami ng FAO natin. So actually, ang tips ko siguro, kailangan siguro as much as possible, kailangan natin ma-familiarize tong mga FAO. Ang pwede ko lang may tip siguro, kailangan every FAO, kailangan lang natin kunin kung ano yung kanilang yung description or yung principles ng isang regulations. Like yung sa Muroami, ano yung kanilang principles or description ng regulations. Based doon, totally ban na yung kanilang type of gear sa ating sa operation sa commercial waters and municipals. Siguro yun lang siguro ang may ibibigay ko, na lahat ng kailangan talaga ma-familiarize kasi lumalabas sa exam yung yung numbers eh. Minsan kasi for example, letter A, which of the regulations, Muroami, ABC, nakalagay doon kung FAO 236, FAO 245, FAO. So kailangan natin ma-memorize. And bukod doon sa memorize, kailangan lang natin siguro makita or internalize yung kanilang descriptions ng regulations. Yun lang po.
Thank you, Sir Robert. Okay, yung presentation ni Sir Robert, with his permission, again, ina-upload po natin sa Google Classroom. Doon niyo po siya ma-access, and we have also in-upload doon sa mga learning materials yung mga summary of important fishery laws. Now, isulat mo sa notes at ilagay sa kwarto mo. Yes, that is true, or idikit para araw-araw mo ma-familiarize. Ginawa ko rin
Yes.
yan. Very effective.
Actually, yung sa akin, siguro isa sa mga pwede kong maging mabigay na tip is, dati kasi, yung pag-review ko, ang ginagawa ko per month, limbawa, this month, focus lang ako sa marine. This month, focus lang ako sa aquaculture, focus lang ako sa ecology. So, kailangan nyo talaga, pag nag-review kayo, kailangan nyo mag-notes. Lalo na yung mga definition of terms. Actually sa exam, pag once na alam yung definition of terms, kaya mong sagutan yan eh. Kasi alam mo yung kung ano yung term na to, ganito yun. So kailangan natin mag-notes pa rin tayo sa mga binabasa natin. Kasi halimbawa, nag-review ko aquaculture, March halimbawa sabihin tayo March and April, nag-review ka para sa marine. Sa pagbalik mo, halimbawa, tapos na. So, tapos na yung 4 months mo, kailangan mo nang i-consolidate yung review mo na isang month para doon sa general. Kailangan at least may makukuha, mabubunot kung ano yung mga tinake down notes mo. So, importante talaga yung notes natin. Kasi pag binasa mo yan, nakalimutan mo yan kung saan mo nakuha, kung saan mo yung reference mo, ganun. So at least may parang summary ng lahat ng per major, kailangan may notes ka. At saka pag ni-notes mo yan, talagang matatandaan mo yan eh. Ako ganun yun eh, pag ni-notes ko, ganito yun, dito yung sinulat. So yun. Importante yung notes sa review. Hindi lang yung puros basa lang. Kasi mahihirapan ka niyan hanapin kung halimbawa throwback ka. hindi mo matandaan yung term, hindi mo matandaan yung information. So at least may notes ka.
Okay, Sir Robert, nakikita niyo po yung group chat. May mga questions po dito. Sige, ano ko na lang sa iyo. Effective uminom ng Memo Plus? Tinry ko din naman. Baka naman effective din. Pero
ako yung Memo Plus, I suggest naman na kailangan natin mag-Memo Plus. So sa akin kasi hindi ako nag-Memo Plus noon. Kapi-kapi lang.
Kapi lang. Okay, so eto may question. Ilang percent po ba lumalabas na mga laws sa exam? Ilang percent ba?
Hindi nating masabi so far kasi nag-ano rin ako, nagtanong din ako bago nga ako naggumawa nitong presentations. Tinanong ko yung mga ka-office mate ko dito sa central office. Kung sabi ko gaano ba kadalas yung yung lalabas ng mga fisheries. Basta ang ano nila, ang pagkatanda nila, lahat daw po na ay may lumalabas po talaga na fisheries laws. Hindi siya yung specific minsan na ganito FAO, parang application na siya ng regulations. Hindi minsan ganoon eh. Hindi siya yung specific na orders or regulations. Pero yung application ng instance like yung sa marine capture, kasi that time sa amin yung marine capture, it's more on reading, application ng mga regulations, ganito, bibigyan ka ng mga situations. So pag alam mo yung batas, kahit anong instances yan, hindi ka niyan malilito.
Okay, so ayun siya. Hindi na rin sure, but kasi sa part ko talaga, honestly, hindi ko kasi, sabi ko baka hindi naman lumabas. Ayun, ang daming lumabas. Buti na lang, naka 82% sa exam.
Wow, ang taas, ma'am.
Kasi I thought talaga, the passing score is 80%.
Opo.
Kaya, ay tinry ko talaga na hindi bumaba doon. Tapos sabi pala last time, 75% yung passing sa ayun. So, dapat taasan yung nyo.
Ma'am, anong batch ka po
2018.
Mas nauna lang po ako. Kasi that time, 2015 na kami. Pumunta pa kami dito sa Manila para mag-exam.
Oo.
Yeah. Kasi that time, 2015, 3 lang yung testing center natin. Sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, ganun po yun ka-hassle sa amin.
Ako sa Lucena eh. And then
Lucena,
may question, ano pong difference ni administrative order versus executive order?
Ang executive order kasi, ini-issue yung executive order. Actually, dalawang klase yung executive order natin. Kung makikita nyo doon sa hierarchy, doon sa, balik ko lang, ng ating laws, ito. Kung makikita nyo dyan, may executive order sa national law, may executive order dito sa administrative. Ang pagkakaiba lang nitong dalawa, ang executive order signed to directly sa president. And then ito namang isang klaseng executive order, ito yung executive order na yung executive order siya ng may mga concerned national agency like DA, DNR. So ito yung ini-issue nila pag with partnership with other or cooperations with the other department. Ang pwede natin na mailagay doon na laws is yung executive order. Samantala yung naman, circular ba yun, ma'am? Circular or yung circular orders naman natin specifically lang doon sa halimbawa sa BIFAR, yan lang yung natin, allowed lang sila. Hindi sila pwede mag-issue ng pwede sila mag-issue ng national order kung mayroon na partnership or engage yung other national agencies like yung sa Department of sa DNR and BIFAR. Yun pong pagkakaiba.
Okay, thank you po, Sir Robert.
Ma'am Precious.
Yes po, Ma'am Pat.
Can I share something po?
Okay po,
kasi
sure
dun sa naging question ng EO, AO, tsaka CO. So, na-define kung saan nanggagaling yung mga laws na yan or rules. So, siguro sa situational questions, pwede kasi lang magkaroon ng clue from the paragraph or the question itself. Then, kung ang mga choices ay magpe-pertain doon sa binigay na question, then yun yung clue nila on selecting the right answer. Di po ba? Halimbawa, yung sa BIFAR, usually mga CO, circular orders, ganyan. So kung naka-state sa question, ang isang situation ay nakalagay yung BIFAR or merong mga regulations, amendments, then sa choices, pwedeng makuha nila is kung EO or FAO. Definitely pag FAO, it's under BIFAR. Di po ba, Sir Robert?
Yes po.
So siguro yun isang clue nila for choosing the right answer.
Mm.
I don't know if I'm right from there. Thank you.
Actually po, hindi naman usually lumalabas yung mga executive order kasi masyado na siyang malayo sa fishery laws. So, at saka yung executive order natin bilang lang naman eh. Ang fisheries administrative orders, yun talaga nakafocus yung exam natin kasi it's more on close dun sa fisheries laws na talaga. Ang executive order, mayroon din like yung sa example, yung executive orders, yung dati kasi yung sa port state measures, kasi may ibang agency kasi kailangan ng DOTR, may Bureau of Custom, Bureau of Fisheries. Kaya ang minsan, yung ginagawa, ang pinoformulate na laws is executive order. Pag halimbawa, kung fisheries lang naman, focus lang naman sa fishing gears, ang pwede lang natin diyan gawin na law is executive pwede lang natin gawin diyan na law is yung fisheries administrative order or yung sa memorandum circulars or the administrative circulars. Masyado ng yung commitment kasi ng executive orders from the departments masyado ng yun yung nila pagkakaiba.
Okay, thank you, Sir Robert. So, kung medyo confusing pa sa inyo, don't worry, i-upload ko tong presentation. And also, you have to self-study kasi meron tayong different styles of learning. Baka iba yung retention ninyo, baka meron kayong maisip na term so that you can differentiate it. Kasi sabi dito ng isang thesis advisee, sabi nila, ano ngayon? You are confused with unregulated and unreported. Fishing. So, sabi ko sa kanila, hanap kayo ng term na pwede nyo silang ma-differentiate.
Yun nga, medyo confusing naman yung unregulated tapos yun sa unreported. Basta pag ang unreported, it's more on sa documentary. Kailangan yung mga documentary like yung sa pag-submit ng log sheets, mga documentary requirements. Pag yung sa unauthorized naman, sa halimbawa, it's more on naman sa legal documents. Yun yung pwede natin maging para mas madali natin or ma-identify natin yung difference nila. Kasi yung sa unauthorized, it's more on legal papers eh. Like hindi yung sa CFBL, nag-operate sila na walang license or permits. So, unauthorized po yan. And unregulated yon. Ang unrecorded naman is more on the regulator. It's more on recording documentary. It's more on record matters.
Yan, thank you. So, clear na daw sa kanila. Okay, so may question dito. Lumalabas pa sa board exam yung topic about sa search and seizure ng mga cases. So, for sa time ko parang wala. Pero we can never know. At least you should be updated sa mga ganito. So, Robert, any comment about this search and seizure ng mga cases?
Ano po yun ulit, ma'am? Sorry.
If may nalabas sa board exam na topic about sa search and seizure, ang pagsisis siguro, pagkuha ng mga tawag dito. For example, yung mga siguro endangered species, ganun ba?
Yes, opo. Sa board exam, madalas talaga lumalabas yung mga ganun na mga aquatic wildlife species. Kaya kailangan natin yung sa CITES or yung sa red list, kailangan natin ma-identify or ma-familiarize tayo dun sa mga CITES species. So may may specific naman tayo dun na orders or regulations.
Tama ba, Sir
siguro,
Robert?
List naman.
Yung parang kina-classify niya if ano ba siyang
appendix. Yes, opo.
Ayun, pag-aralan niyo
Kailangan po talaga yon natin maging familiarized doon sa mga CITES species. Kasi may classification yan kung Appendix 1, 2, or 3. So depende po sa yung kanilang level.
Okay.
Kung gaano na sila ka-endangered na dito sa atin.
Okay. So mag-upload na lang kami ng document ng CITES kasi nalabas talaga yan.
Actually may naman provided naman na doon sa laws, may provided naman na mga tables, and then naka-classify na sila kung ano na yung kanilang status or yung appendix or yung level ng exploitations.
Okay, so any questions pa po from the students? Baka meron kayong gustong i-clarify. Kasi ito talaga, sakit sa ulo talaga si fishery laws. Sa totoo lang, I hate it. Kasi ang daming dapat i-memorize, dapat tandaan. In addition po sa prohibition and penalties, lumalabas din po ba penalties? Parang meron na yata akong 1 questions na naalala about it. Sige po, sir.
Pagdating naman dun sa penalties, actually hindi naman wala naman lumalabas. Ito lang naman, tandaan lang naman sa 10654, ang pagkakaiba dun sa 8550, yun nga, masyadong tinaasan nila yung mga fines, yung mga penalties. Kasi mahirap kasi i-memorize yung mga penalties or yung fines natin kasi depende yan sa like yung sa section 86 yung unauthorized fishing vessels, so iba naman yung kanilang fines. Basta kailangan lang tayo maging familiarized doon sa mga prohibitions. Kahit siguro yung sa mga penalties like yung kung ilang milyon, mga ganon, hindi naman siguro kasi masyado ng yun, mahirap. Medyo na yun, parang mahirap na parang hindi naman posible naman na malabas pa yun sa exam. Ang kailangan natin maging familiar doon sa mga prohibitions ng 10654.
Okay, so ayun siya. Recap din sa kanina sa diniscuss ni Sir Robert, yung mga FLAs kanina, mga Fish Fund Lease Agreement, kanina nalabas din yun kung ilang mga years. Tama, tapos ano pa ba? Basta ayun siya. Read lang, and then familiarize, memorize. Sir Robert, with permission po ba ito to post? Kasi ang daming students nagre-request kasi comprehensive na yung nilagay mo dito sa report mo.
Yes po. So, okay lang naman po, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, may question pa po ba ating mga students? Kasi about sa testing center kanina na may nagtanong, magbasa-basa na lang po tayo sa site ng PRC at then magbibigay din naman sila ng instruction kasi pwede siyang mag-change kung saan yung testing site. Okay, if you don't have any questions, again, Sir Robert, thank you so much for...
Precious.
Yes po, sir. Ayos po.
Request natin yung participant for a virtual applause to Sir Robert, please.
Okay, virtual applause. Thank you so much. Hopefully, Sir Robert, invite ka namin ulit.
Thank you po.
No worries, ma'am. Wala naman na problema po.
Meron pa tong sa grades natin.
Basta ikaw po, ma'am.
Okay. Magkikita na tayo this sem. So, Sir Robert, send ko na lang po sa inyo yung certificate ninyo.
Yes,
thank you for sharing your valuable knowledge as resource speaker during the 2022 licensure examination for fisheries technologies with the topic fishery laws held via Zoom on March 19, 2022. So sir, i-forward ko na lang to sa iyo ha. Again, thank you so much.
Okay, sige po, maraming salamat and good luck po.
Ay, pwede po kami picture together with you para po paano na lang po nung yung inyong tawag dito, nung share screen.
Open cam.
Oo. Pa-remove na lang ng share screen mo.
Ay, sorry.
Okay, sige.
Paano ba? Kanina actually,
hindi pa yata.
Okay na po ba?
andyan pa din siya.
Stop sharing.
Okay, stop share.
Okay na, ma'am?
Hindi pa din. Ayan, okay na. Okay, students, dear students, please turn on your cam. Kayo din, mag-turn on na kayo ng cam pag ano yung sarili ninyo, pag ano nyo, na magkasya kayo. 1, 2, 3, smile. Wow, okay, I see some of my students here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, page 2, 1, 2, 3, smile. Hopefully, itong mga pangalan na ito makita namin sa list of passers sa October. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, last page. 1, 2, 3, smile. Again, thank you so much everyone for attending today's online review. Now for the announcements, ugaliin po natin ulit magbasa. Lagi ko yung in-reiterate. We will post updates. It's because supposedly sa Monday, meron tayong schedule with Miss PM Roque. However, she's not available kasi meron siyang travel commitment. So we will post updates kung kailan. Okay? Always review yung ating Google Classroom. Again, Sir Robert, thank you so much